Hey,
What's up, everybody? This is your girl, Qadriyyah Marie, host of On the Queue with Qadriyyah Marie. First, I want to say Happy Wellness Wednesday to everybody out there, as well as our guests tonight. Feeling very excited about tonight's show. We have so many different, what I would call talking points. I think it's going to be a very beneficial show. So first, again, happy Wellness Wednesday. I'm actually repeating myself because I think it's very important to tell yourself the things that you want to manifest itself. So when I think Happy Wellness Wednesday, when I say it out loud, I actually start to feel it from the inside out. But again, like I said, tonight it's going to be a great show. As you guys see, I have a guest tonight. First thing I want to say is that I'm talking to you guys, the viewers, that you can get out of debt, you can build your savings, and you can get on the path to financial independence. So those are three major points that I want you guys to keep in mind tonight before I introduce our lovely guests. And I'm just feeling, really good tonight. I'll give people a couple more minutes, to join us tonight. But it's been crazy last couple of weeks for me. I've been going through a lot of self changes. So I think you all can agree it's always positive to look at yourself and actually recognize the growth within yourself. So I do want to mention what our guest made this up. I don't want to take credit for this, but the 7 steps to take control. The first step is pay yourself first. So we're going to talk a little bit tonight about that. Number 2, adjusting your priorities. The third point is change your thinking. It's one of my favorite points that he brought up. The fourth step is to adjust your lifestyle. So I'm gonna let our guest tonight talk further about that. The fifth point is how to earn additional income. The sixth point is how to avoid the credit trap. That's something that I'm looking forward to listening to my guests as well. And the 7th step is to set goals and have a plan. So with all that said, I would love to introduce or let him introduce himself, my guest tonight, Mr. Ben Zabel. And Ben, would you like to tell the viewers more about yourself?
yes, hi. My name is Ben Zabel, and I'm I help people in many areas of their finances, but I'm also been a musician all my life. So to those who are musicians out there, been a violinist all my life since I was 4 years old. And
Wow.
yep, so that was a real exciting time in my life. Got to play in a lot of symphonies and chamber orchestras and family string quartets, and played with some famous people. So enjoyed doing that, and still do to this day. It's my passion of mine. Playing in a couple churches and things like that. But the main area is in helping people with their finances, and that's really, really, really important, because there's so many facets to finances that people don't understand.
Right.
Right.
Yes.
So the first thing we do, because we're now in the digital age, and with AI technology, there's a lot of tools that make it easier to help you reach all those goals. So one of the things we use is a remote digital tool, financial checkup tool that we use. Is called $B Smart.
This is it on
And yep, and what it does, it's an app, and actually in less than 5 minutes, it'll show you a handful of ways to save money in your finances. Most of you probably have no clue what you qualify for when it comes to retirement, saving for your children's education, getting yourself out of debt. And what this app does, it actually will hit bullet points, or it's kind of like, think about it when you go to a doctor, right? And you make an appointment, and the doctor says, well, you need to go down to Quest Diagnostics to get, or LabCorp, and get your blood work done, right? So by the time you get to that doctor's appointment, he already has all your results, and he knows exactly what he can recommend the best thing for you. They help you get better. Well, that's what this technology does. And it's going to show you all these different areas that need to be fixed in your finances. And then the AI technology knows, based on the information you put in, what you would qualify for.
Wow.
So it's really exciting, Qadriyyah.
Yeah, I would love to utilize that myself. So I'm definitely going to have you show me more about that later.
Sure.
So next, we want to talk about something that we mentioned in the 7 steps to take control. The concept of paying yourself first. I believe this is something that people have heard, here and there, people who are, learning about how to take over their financial, to take control over it. But I don't know if people really know what exactly that means. So would you like to explain further about that?
Yeah. So, one of the biggest financial mistakes that people make is dependence. Dependence on others allows outside factors in people's lives to control them. The secret to financial security is learning to control the things that you can control, right?
Right.
So if you think about it, you can't control the future of Social Security, but you can control your savings for retirement. You can't control your employer if you work for somebody else, right? But you can control other sources of income. You can't control taxes, but you can control other ways to reduce your taxes. You can't control inflation, but you can maximize your savings, right? You can't control all the rising costs, right? Every day the gas prices are going up, food, eggs, everything, right? But you can save more, and you can't control the risk of a single investment, but you can control the diversity of your investment choices. Okay, so that's really important.
Yeah, and people need to know that there are things that they can't control, because I hear people talk all the time about how they feel like they have no control over anything, and that's not true based on what you just said.
Right, and so if we look at talk about paying yourself first, the problem is at the end of the month, most people don't have anything left to save, right? And
no, they don't. By the end of the week.
Yeah. So the solution to that is at the first of the month, before you pay anyone else,
right,
you write a check to yourself for 10% of your income. And paying yourself may be the single most important concept in this presentation, right? Because of what I'm talking about. Because if we think of it, you take a dollar bill, right? Or you take your paycheck, and what do? We pay the gas, we pay the electric, we pay our rent.
Right.
We pay all these things, right? Go and buy our groceries, try to have some little entertainment on the weekends. And when we're all done, we got this little piece left over. And then what we try and do, save it. But we don't really save it, because we put it into like our checking account to pay no interest, or a savings account. And then what happens is at the end of the month, you're just starting that rat race all over again.
Yeah, every month.
Yep. And
same thing.
Exactly. And that's what happens there. So so you think about it, it's not what you earn, but it's what you keep, right? So if you said to yourself at the beginning of every month, before I pay any bill, spend any money on anything, I'm going to take 10% off the top of my paycheck, and I'm going to pay myself first. Right? You put yourself at the head of the line. You treat your savings like any other recurring bill that you must pay each month. Okay. While most people think nothing of sending enormous amounts of money to credit card companies on a regular and systematic basis, right? We all do that. They balk at the idea of paying themselves first. So you got to change your mindset, right? You have to have that paradigm shift. The other thing is, there's 3 types of account that you really need to have. One is an emergency fund, because emergencies come up when we don't expect it, right?
Right, they do.
I know you just dealt with that with your mother, the passing of your mother.
Yes.
We never know, when God's going to call us home, or all kinds of emergencies, right?
Right.
And we see too many people out there using things like a GoFundMe account.
Yes.
Because they didn't plan ahead of time for that. And the CEO of GoFundMe actually got on there one time and said, GoFundMe is not designed to raise money to fund people's funerals.
Right.
But so many people use it for that, right?
Right, and that's mostly what I've seen it used for.
Yeah.
Lately,
So,
that's what I've been seeing.
yeah, or someone has some tragedy in their life. There was a family close to my office that
Mhm.
the whole family, the whole house burned down and they lost
Oh,
everything.
God.
And they set up GoFundMe accounts to try and help them out because they didn't prepare for that. You know, the
Yeah.
insurance didn't cover enough or whatever. So, emergency fund is your reserve fund in the event of an unforeseen emergency, a job loss, right? Think of it like you lose
Right.
your job, right? While
Yeah.
you're transitioning into another job or an unexpected expense. A good rule of thumb is 3 to 6 months salary in your emergency fund. Okay, that's the first account you need to have. The second one of the three accounts you need is a short-term savings, because this account is for money that you set aside for expenses you want to purchase within a short-term time frame. For example, here is where you would save for a new computer or perhaps a vacation, or maybe
Mm.
saving for the down payment of a house you plan on buying in a couple of years. That would be your short-term savings. Okay.
Yeah.
Then the third account you would need is your long-term savings. That's your investment account, right? This is where your retirement savings goes, your college funds for your children, any other long-range savings goals will go, because these savings have more of a long-term horizon. So you can use investment vehicles with potential for a higher rate of return, such as equity mutual funds and different things like that.
Right. And is all three of those savings part of the 10% that you mentioned? To take
Yep.
off? Okay.
Yep. Because when it becomes a habit, just like brushing our teeth every day is a habit, right? Because we're taught as little kids to do that, and we do it every
Right.
single day, right?
True.
And so paying yourself first, you get in the habit of doing that. See,
Right.
there's two types of people in this world. There's spenders and there's savers.
Mm.
And a lot of us are spenders. Some people are raised and taught in an early age to save, and they save
Right.
first.
Right. They
So
do.
you're just having a paradigm shift and getting the habit of doing that.
Right.
So the next thing we want to talk about is using time and consistency. That's important, right? Someone
Yes.
once said that the only two things life gives you are opportunity and time, right?
Mm.
Time combined with two other important elements, rate of return and consistency, is a powerful key to achieving financial security. So if we think about that, you think about it's not what you earn, but it's what you keep, right? So put yourself at the head of the line. Let's say you want to treat your savings like any other recurring bill that you must pay each month. While
Right.
most people think nothing of sending enormous amounts of money, right? That's what they do.
Right.
They got to get in the habits of paying themselves first. And so let's talk about starting early and
Yes.
investing early, right? So think about this. What if, suppose your parents deposited $1,000 on the day you were born,
Mm.
right? If you left the account untouched until you were 67 years old, because that's the age that the government says for most of us who can collect full Social Security benefits, that $1,000 would have grown to over $406,000.
Wow.
If at an average return of 9%, without you ever having added another penny to that money.
Right.
Right?
That's something. Yeah.
Now we wish our parents had done that for us, right? But that's something you could, if you got young children, you could start doing that kind of stuff, and I can show you how to do that. And you don't want to pay the high cost of waiting. So for those of you that are out there, Generation Xers or right,
Right.
at age 25, right? Let's say you had a goal to have $500,000 for retirement when you're 67 years old. You start at age 25. You only got to save $89 a month. You wait till you're 35 years old. You got to save nearly 2 times more, which is $224 a month. You wait till you're 45, it's $602 a month, seven times more. If you wait till you're 55 years old, right, between 45 and 55 is when most people start thinking about retirement. You got to save $1,926 a month, 21 times more than you did if you just started when you were 25 years old. So if you're like most people,
Right. Wow.
problem is you don't have a lot of money.
No.
And that's why it's so critical. When you're young, you can save small amounts and still end up with thousands of dollars.
True. Yeah.
But if you wait to begin savings, you must save much more. One thing is certain, you can't afford the high cost of waiting. Right, Qadriyyah?
Yeah, I definitely agree. And people of all ages, that's what they do, is wait because people think they have time.
which they
Yeah.
really
It
don't have time,
Time
right?
catches up to you. Like you said, 25, next year 35, 45 on, and it just gets more expensive from there.
Yep. Another way is, the power of compound interest, right?
Yes.
Most incredible force in the world, that Albert Einstein said that. But if you were to just save $100 a month, right? That's $25 a week out of your paycheck, right? And a lot of us spend more than that just getting our lattes every day, right? I mean, they go to what I like to call $5 instead of Starbucks, because it costs $5 for coffee, right?
At the minimum, that's the small.
So you save $100 a month, and you do that over the next 40 years, you'll have somewhere around $471,000 or more just by doing that.
Just by that.
Right? Just by cutting out certain things that are waste. Instead, go buy yourself a Keurig machine and make your own coffee.
Yeah, I agree.
Take it with you instead of going to $5 or Starbucks, right?
And it's more healthy. On top of that,
more healthy
and your wallet.
Absolutely. And then another important concept is to understand the power of compound interest. It's something called the Rule 72.
Yes.
And that's great because your money will double at certain points determined by what you do is you divide 72 by the percentage of interest that you're earning on your money. And it tells you how long it takes for your money to double. So, for example, based on Rule 70, a one-time contribution of $10,000 doubles 6 more times at 12% than it does at 3%. So 3 divided by 72 is 24. So it takes 24 years. So if you put away $10,000, 24 years later, you'd have 20,000. 48 years later, you have 40,000. But if you put your money someplace where you're getting 12%, 12 divided by 72 means your money's going to double every 6 years. So that same $10,000, instead of growing to 40,000, grows to 2.56 million. You understand? This is why most people retire broke in this country, because this is not taught in schools. And so what happens is they were never taught this, and that's why you see a lot of people, 67 years old, and they're still working, and they're cashiers at Walmart and department stores and stuff like that.
I see a lot of
someone like myself just sat down with them 40 years earlier, they'd be enjoying their life, and traveling more and doing the things that they really wanted to do.
And
right?
Because you're supposed to be that's what they say that certain age you should be out traveling and enjoying life. But I'm actually, when I go like to places, Walmart or anywhere now, any supermarket or retail, I'm seeing more and more older people that actually have worked their whole life and retired and have come back to work again.
Absolutely. Well, another critical key to building financial security that's often overlooked is the interest rate, right? Sometimes referred as the rate of return.
Mm-hmm.
The difference of a few points may seem minor, but the impact of the rate of return when combined with time is significant. So you might think that if you could earn a 10% rate of return instead of 5%, your money would double, but that's really not the case. Remember the power of compound interest we talked about earlier? Well, that 5% difference adds up to much more over time and can mean thousands of dollars to you and your family. So we'll use an example of, let's just say, someone named Paul. The parents are invested $1,000 at his birth, right? And a one-time investment of $1,000 at different interest rates, right? 3%, 6%, and 9% rate of return. And so the parents that invested at 3% and put it in some savings account or CD in the bank, they ended up with $7,400, right? The parents that put it in, let's say, some kind of a government bond or something paying 6%, the child ended up with $55,000. But the parents that put it into some type of a equity investment where they average 9% rate of return, the child ended up at 67 with $406,000. Big difference.
Yeah.
Right. So as you can see, that's really, really, really important. And doubling your interest can quadruple your savings. So these are things that are really, really, really important that you need to know about.
Yeah, they definitely are. People don't know, especially when it comes to numbers, because I'm not really a numbers person myself. But I like when things are broken down into simpler terms for me to understand. Like the $25, per check. That's something that I could, easily calculate.
Yeah. Or you can say, on a typical work week, that's $5 a day.
Right. That's even better.
It's $25 a week, right?
Right.
So, and just think about what we waste $5 a day on.
Yeah.
We stop at the Quick Check or the 7-Eleven or a convenience store, and we buy a pack of gum, we
Right.
go and buy a soft drink, we get our coffee, whatever, little snacks and stuff like that, and $5 is nothing.
Right.
It's nothing.
It's funny you mentioned Quick Check, because in Maryland we don't have Quick Check, and I'm very sad about that.
Okay. Yeah, it's like
7-Eleven Quick Check. I definitely missed that.
It's almost like every other day there's another one popping up around where I live. So
yeah,
it's getting that way.
Oh,
So,
wow.
But anyway, let's talk about now.
We're going to talk about how to pay off debt.
Yeah, about paying off debt. So all the threats to your financial security, none is more dangerous than debt, right? And debt, the word debt, DEBT, stands for don't ever buy things. Now, we buy a lot of things, right?
Yes, we do.
In every family's quest to feel good financially, debt is the most common enemy.
Wow.
Okay. So the very fact that is so common, who doesn't have debt? Just about probably everyone we know. So make it one of the biggest threats to your financial well-being. That's exactly what it is. So the bad news, there's bad news. Let me tell you the bad news about compounding, because we talked about it before. But did you know that if you made a one-time $3,000 credit card purchase, right, with an 18% interest rate, and most people have credit cards with higher rates than that now, the way the interest rates, they just raised the rates again today, with no new purchases, and you made only the minimum payment, it would take at least 10 years to pay off, and you would end up paying more than $2,000 in interest charges on a $3,000 purchase. That's crazy.
I believe it, because I feel like I've been in similar situations. After 3 years, I paid double than what I even had originally. Oh.
Yep.
Yeah.
Because compound interest is one of the most powerful financial forces around. When you're building savings, its power works in your favor. However, when you have debt, the power of compound interest works against you. And when you pay just the minimum payments on your credit cards, interest charges are added each month to the remaining principal each month. And every credit card calculates their interest differently. And your new balance is the principal plus the interest, and the amount gets compounded again and again. It's easy to see how small debts grow large with compound interest. So that's something that's, that's really important.
Yeah.
Then you got, revolving debt versus fixed debt. Now, credit card debt is what is known as revolving debt, right?
Right.
It's unsecured debt, and it's revolving. It's because you can keep on using it. As you pay it down, you use it again.
Right.
But the credit card company is making off, as long as you carry a balance, they're making interest, very high interest, right? The interest compounds daily instead of monthly, which means you can pay much more in interest. And because there is no fixed amount that you pay each month, your debt can go on forever. And we don't want that, right?
Yeah.
Your interest rate could change at almost any time. And there is little a consumer can do beyond paying off the entire balance at once, right?
Yeah, that's one thing I've learned, trying to pay off as much as possible early on.
Everyone thinks they're going to win the big one, win the lottery, right? And they're going to pay off all their debts.
Right.
But so there's a concept that I teach people. It's called debt stacking. And what it does, it's the idea of paying off your debt, because a lot of times it seems very overwhelming to most people. So you want to consider debt stacking. So they say you can eat an elephant one bite at a time, right? You've heard that all the
Yeah, I've heard that.
So, the same concept works with paying off your debt. By taking into account the interest rate and the amount of debt, debt stacking identifies an ideal order for you to pay off your debts, right? And you begin by making consistent payments on all of your debts. And when you pay off your first debt account, you roll that payment into the payment that you were making on the next account. Now it's assuming you don't use those credit cards anymore, right? You don't get you further in debt. So these extra dollars help you reduce the effect of compound interest working against you. And as each debt is paid off, you apply the amount you were paying to that debt to the payment that you were making on the next account, and so on until it's all gone. And when all the debt's gone, you started making that specific amount of monthly payments every month. You start paying it now to yourself, and how quickly you can start accumulating wealth. And that's the concept of debt stacking. Debt stacking allows you to make the same total monthly payment each month towards all of your debt, and works best when you do not accrue any new debt. Okay, so you continue this process until you have paid off all your debts. When you finish paying off all your debts, you can apply the amount you were paying towards your debt towards creating wealth and financial independence. And that's really what I'm here to talk about today. So here are some of the common credit mistakes that people make, right?
Yes.
First of all, you got to not valuing your credit. A lot of people don't value their credit. The second one, raising credit card limits. People love to do that, and the credit card companies love to raise. You're making their payments on time. They love to raise your limit, so you can get further in debt.
Yeah, I just got a raise myself.
Yep.
On the credit card. Yeah.
The third one is not monitoring your credit history. People don't monitor that, and that's important. The fourth one is not monitoring your credit score, right? And then you go to apply for an apartment, to move or something, and you find out, or whatever it is, you go to buy a new car or something like that, and you're going to finance it, and you're paying higher interest rates. Why? Because you didn't monitor your credit score. And the fifth one is not knowing your interest rate and your fees.
Right.
And most people never read those little fine prints that are in those pages that they send you with your credit card. You pull out the card and you start using it, and you put the thing in the drawer and never read it, right? This is a mistake that a lot of people make.
Yeah, I agree.
Yep.
I'm glad you brought up some good points, because I hear people talk all the time about these things, but they don't understand it. Well, it's like they know they should be looking into that. Like you said, they just throw it in the drawer. But in the back of your head, you're looking like, maybe I should have read the fine print. When you get your stuff in the mail, your bills, you're wondering, why are you paying this amount?
Absolutely.
After you've been paying on a credit card for so long, mentally you think that you should be at a certain number, but because of all the interest and fees, you're not. You're still sometime at this close to the same place you were 3 or 4 months before.
Absolutely.
And people don't understand that with credit.
So let's go back and talk about one of the things we mentioned before, because about, we were just having this conversation before we got on here about, you had a lot of family members that recently passed away. And one of the most important expenditures the average family should make is in life insurance, right?
Yes. I want to
one of the most important misunderstood things, because, think about it. We insure our car, we insure our houses, right?
Right.
Just in case. But how many of us insure our life? See, the purpose of life insurance is for replacing an income. So if you have young children, you have a house with a mortgage, you have a bunch of debt, well, you don't want to leave that burden on somebody else. How your wife and kids going to be able to make the mortgage payments every month because it's replacing that paycheck, right? Because if you stop working today and you have a family, would that paycheck keep coming in to your wife? Would the company keep paying your wife even though you're not showing up for work anymore because you're not here? The answer is probably not.
Right, true.
It's probably not. So the wisdom of your life insurance purchase could make a major difference in your family security. Should you die in your family quality of life if you don't?
Right?
So these are things that are really important. And so you got to ask yourself, like, how much is your car worth? Well, do you insure it?
Right.
How much is your house worth? Do you insure it? Well, how much is your life worth? And probably a lot more than your car and your house. But can you afford not to insure your life? You can't afford it, right? It's really important, right? Because, and we only need that for a short period of time, because there's a concept called the theory of decreasing responsibility that says your need for life insurance is the greatest when you have young children, you have debts, you have a house with a mortgage. But as you get older and the kids are grown and they move out of the house and they get married and start their own careers, your needs aren't as great, right, anymore. So when you're young, you buy low-cost death protection, term insurance, right? Enough to protect the loss of your earning power and put the maximum amount you can afford into a promising investment program. And when you're older, you may have much less need for the insurance coverage. If you saved and invested wisely, you should have a significant amount of accumulated cash, and you become self-insured and eliminating your need for life insurance.
Yes. Yes.
So-
Takia said 100. She said, "Hey, Ben."
What's that?
Takia, she said, "Hey, Ben."
Oh, Kia.
Yeah. TK.
Oh, okay. The Kia. Okay. So I said, hey. Okay.
Hey, TK. So we have viewers coming on. If you guys have any questions for Ben, please feel free to share it in the comments, and I will share it on screen for Ben to answer. He's the financial mentor, so I'm here absorbing everything that he's sharing with all of us.
So getting back to, what do the experts say? Well, a lot of us have heard of people like Dave Ramsey, Susie Orman. Susie Orman said, I quote, "In my opinion, there's only one kind of life insurance that makes sense for the vast majority of us. That's term life insurance, right?
Mm-hmm.
Because it's pure protection, just like your car insurance.
Right.
You pay a premium, you have an accident, the insurance company is going to pay for that accident. Right? That's it.
Right.
If you don't have an accident, you paid your premium for the whole year, the company made a profit. That's
right.
The way,
they still made a profit.
Yep. So
yeah.
My philosophy is there's 3 nevers of buying life insurance. Number one, never buy any kind of cash value or whole life insurance, including universal life. Never buy anything like that.
Well, why is that though?
What's that?
I know a number of people that have had it. My mom actually had that, even though,
and that's the kind that has a built-up cash value.
Right.
Number 2 is never buy life insurance as an investment. Okay, because you can invest your money separately in a real investment that when you retire, or when something happens to you, your beneficiary gets the life insurance plus they get the investment. They're 2 separate things. Okay. And number 3 is never buy a life insurance policy that pays dividends, because it's not a dividend like a sense when you own a stock, you get a dividend. The company makes a profit, they pay you a dividend, then you owe taxes on that. In an insurance policy, that's not the case. It's just an overcharge. They charge you too much and they give you some of it back and call it a dividend. Right? That's all it is. Okay. So,
and we have a comment from TK. She said she recently trained with Ramsey Financial Coaching Program. She wanted to know were you in that as well?
No, but Dave Ramsey actually he actually used to work the company I'm with. He used to work with us first, and then he went off and started his radio and television programs. But most of the concepts he teaches, he learned through the company I represent.
Oh, okay.
Yep.
Yeah, she said, thanks for sharing, Ben. Yeah, thank you, Ben.
Okay. So let's talk about now important subject, which is deferring your taxes, right? Because
I don't understand.
I don't like paying taxes.
Let you talk about that.
Right. So first of all, do you have a job? That's the first thing, right?
Right.
If you have a job, you have a tax problem because you got to pay taxes, right? The harder you work to get ahead and build your income, the more taxes you pay in order to have the maximum cash at retirement. You need to find a way to minimize your taxes. And there's a lot of ways that you can do that. Most people aren't aware, but like I talked about earlier in the beginning of the show, with this new technology app that we use, it uses AI technology to know what programs are available to you that you qualify for based on the information that you put in there. Okay, so as you begin paying yourself first, you can invest money earmarked for your long-term goals through a tax-deferred retirement account. This allows you to postpone paying taxes on your earnings, and some you don't have to pay any. That means more money is allowed to compound and work for you than if income taxes were taken out of each year's earnings. So that's the power of tax deferral. So there's different ways you can do that. There's deductibility versus deferrability, right? What's the difference? Well, a deduction is an amount of money you can subtract from your gross income before you calculate your taxes. A lot of people are overpaying on their taxes, right? because what they do is they claim 0 on their W-4 form at their jobs, and
Right.
they have the max so they can get a big tax refund. Well, the thing is now, so you need to. There's ways you can go and you talk to the human resource department, you make some changes, adjust your W-4 to the point where they're not taking out as much, and then you use that money, the extra money in your paycheck, to put towards a retirement program, so it's working for you. Because
Right.
most people, when I sit down and I ask them, so what'd you do with your tax refund you received this year?
Mm-hmm.
I paid bills with it, or they spent
Right.
it on something because that's what habit of doing. Versus, not getting as much back, but then letting that money work for you all year long, because all you did was you gave the government an interest-free loan, and then in return, they gave you it back at no interest. Because if you got $5,000 back from the government, that means you overpaid the government by $5,000.
Right.
But they didn't give you any interest on that $5,000 when they returned it to you, did they?
No, they don't.
Nope, they don't. So the more you can reduce your gross income with deductions, the less the amount you'll pay income taxes on. It pays to deduct. Remember to consult your tax advisor regarding any personal tax situations. But a deferral means that you can postpone payment of current taxes until a later date in the future, commonly at retirement, right? A deferral means that you can postpone payment of current taxes until a later date in the future, commonly at retirement. So the great thing about deferring taxes to retirement is the likelihood that you will be in a lower tax bracket when you do have to pay taxes on the money. That's the good thing, right? Now, the next great thing about that is there's something called an IRA, or an individual retirement account. And you have a few choices when it comes to IRAs, and depends on which one works best for your situation. But there's a traditional IRA, which is deductible, right? But then you're going to pay taxes in the future when you go to retire. There's a traditional IRA that's non-deductible, right? And then there's which is like when you leave a job and you had a 401k over there and you rolled it over into a non-deductible IRA, so you can't add any new money to that, right? Except for if you ever leave another job and you have 401k money, you can roll it into that. And then there's what's called a Roth IRA. It's not deductible. You can't deduct your contributions, but you're not taxed at the withdrawal when you go to withdrawal, so it's tax-free money. And the government's expanding the way that we can use those Roth IRAs for like first-time home purchases and different things, which is great. So let's take a look. Let's talk about the traditional IRA that's deductible first. The benefits of that is you got tax savings now and tax deferral until retirement. It saves you money by giving you and your spouse the potential to contribute. Right now, if you're under age 50, you can put up to $6,500 per year for this year, 2023, if you meet certain requirements, right? There's income requirements and things like that. So a non-working spouse can also have an IRA, right? If one of you just works off the top of your gross income, which reduces your taxable income because you can deduct it. You postpone payment of taxes on any earnings until you are withdrawn at a date in the future, commonly your retirement. And they give you right now, they increase the age limit to 73 when you have to start taking money out of a deductible IRA. Okay. The next thing is a traditional IRA that's not deductible. Your earnings on the IRA are tax deferred until retirement. That's one of the benefits. And if you exceed certain income limits, your traditional IRA contributions may not be deducted from your current tax bill. However, this is important. Your non-deductible contributions will grow on a tax-deferred basis. So even though you weren't able to deduct your contributions, more of the money is allowed to grow and compound than if taxes were taken out of your account each year. So, that's something that's really good.
Yes, definitely.
But the best one is the Roth IRA, right? Because contributions are not deductible, but you receive tax deferral on earnings and tax-free withdrawals sometime in the future. So if you start when you're young enough, I have clients that we set up Roth IRAs for children. A child can, because you can take your 10, 11, 12-year-old son and you can pay him for doing chores around the house, taking out the garbage.
Right.
And instead of giving him the money in cash, you can pay him by funding an IRA for him. You start teaching him to save money at an early age.
Yeah. A lot of families can use that.
So your contributions are made with after-tax money, right? So let's just say you were in let's call it a 30% tax bracket. So you earned $1.30. 30 cents went to the government, and you had $1 for tax. You had $1 left over to contribute to your Roth IRA. When you withdraw the money from the Roth IRA, though, none of it will be taxed. So it's all tax-free money. And that's the beauty of it. So if you want, saving for retirement.
Yeah, we definitely all need help. I think that's the biggest issue people are having, savings and getting out of debt, but especially for retirement, because people don't think long term. I hear a number of people when they talk about savings, which they are talking about it. It's more so just saving, in the short term, for a trip, for example. But as you mentioned earlier, we need to have multiple types of savings.
Exactly. So just to recap, if you qualify for any of these IRAs, whichever one, whether it's traditional or whether it's the Roth, and you qualify for those, that for 2023, if you're under the age of 50, you can contribute up to $6,500 per year, and a non-working spouse could also do the same thing. So if you're married, the potential is $13,000 a year. Then what they did is, you're 50 years of age or over, they added what they call the catch-up plan. You can add an additional $1,000 more, so it's $7,500. So that's $15,000 a married couple could fund a Roth IRA with, the catch-up for all the years that they didn't save money, like we talked about earlier.
Yes,
that's really important. So let me explain something. And it really can't be, but the time value of money. So let's just say, from the ages of, you started at 22 years old, and let's just say you put in $6,000. You could afford to save $6,000 a year, right? So you put in, so that's $500 a month. So you put $6,000 into a Roth IRA. You did it from age 22 until you're 29 years old, right? So what is that, 7 years. So in 7 years, you actually you contributed. Let me just take a look at a chart here. So you contributed $71,000 into that Roth IRA. I'm sorry, $73,000, right? Yeah. And then you never added another dime to it. You ended at age 29. You stopped contributing, and you just let it ride until you're 67 years old. So you contributed $48,000 into that account, but at age 67, that account accumulated to $2.2 million. Just from starting from 22 and saving till you're 29. Now, let's say that same person, they said, I'm going to wait. The second person decides, I'm going to wait, and I'm going to start putting away $6,000 a year. I'll wait until I'm 30 years old when I get that really good job. So they save $6,000 a year, but they do that all the way until they're 67 years old, right? So they contributed $228,000, and when they're 67 years old, they end up with $2,041,000. So the guy that put in $48,000 ended up with more money than the guy that put in $228,000 over his retirement years. So compound interest, right?
Right.
Opening an IRA can help you secure a real comfortable retirement. That's something that's really, really important.
I hope our viewers are all listening. I had another comment from Takia. I don't know if you saw it, Ben. She said that you need to come on the Power to Profit podcast for us too, so you can help more people. Now I just want to tell you, Ben, you're definitely helping people right now. You're helping me, you're helping everybody that's listening and people who are going to watch later, because the information that you're sharing, even if you're not, a finance person or numbers person, it makes sense after you explain it. So
exactly.
I really appreciate, you coming on, sharing this information. Tyrone, this is my significant other, by the way, Tyrone Smith. He says, is there any info on a Schwab account?
No, that's something that you would have to contact Schwab to do. I mean, do you have a Schwab account?
Yeah, I believe he does have one.
Okay. Well, we're going to share the information on how to contact me later on, and I can answer that question off of here. And we can talk more about that. let's go on to the next topic, which is really important, is become an owner and not a loaner of your money.
Yeah,
You know,
can you explain what that means to you?
yeah. So let me explain what that means. So most of us, the concept is you want to what we call bypass the middleman. Who's the middleman? The middleman is those banks, those credit unions, those credit card companies, right? So you give them your money, and what do? They take your money and use it to make more money with it, right?
Right.
Invest it into the global economy. So if you're getting 2% in a savings account, and your best friend has a credit card with that same bank, right? You put in $2,000 and they're paying you 2% on your savings. They're taking that same $2,000 and lending it to your friend when she charges $2,000 on her credit card, but they're not charging her 2%, are they? They're probably charging her 18, 19, 21% interest or more on that same credit card, right?
Right.
And the difference is the profit. They're making huge profits on that, right? So, so who do you think would earn more money, right? An investor that began purchasing shares in a company as the market was rising, or an investor who was investing money in a company where the shares were not rising, or where they were fluctuating, going up and down, up and down.
I'm not sure. I don't know.
Well, obviously, the ones, because remember, you're buying everything when the share price goes down.
Right.
What happened to a lot of people's 401ks became kind of like a 201k. They called it last year, right? Market was down with it, but those that stay the course, it always comes back, right? So think of it like everyone likes to go shopping, and when Macy's has their think of Macy's having their 1 day sale on the women's shoes, and you can buy 4 shoes for what it costs for one. Everyone goes running over there to get all them shoes because you gotta get some new pairs of shoes, right?
Right, you have to.
Well, when the market goes down, they're having their big sale, right? And so everything's at a discount, because when it comes back, right, there's always going to be a need for 3 things: food, clothing, and shelter. And God's creating new babies every single day, isn't he? But he's not producing more land, so people got to live somewhere. So the housing prices are going to keep on going up. 10 years from now, it probably costs you more to buy a house than it costs today. It just everything runs in cycles, right? Food prices are going to keep going up because law of supply and demand. That's the way everything works. Okay, so there's what I like to call the 3 Ds of investing. You want to write this down, right? So a good way to keep focus on your goals is to remember the 3 Ds of investing. So the first D is dollar cost averaging, what I was just talking about. The second D is discipline, because you got to have discipline. So setting, it's very simple. Set up an automatic deduction out of a savings or a checking account right into your investment account for your IRA or whatever. And the third D is diversification, right? Remember our parents tell us, don't put all your eggs in one basket, right?
Yeah.
So you got to diversify your portfolio, because no one has that crystal ball to know what's going to happen tomorrow, the next day, or 10 years from now, or 20 years from now, out in the future. But if we're diversified, that's really important.
Yes, thank you. I've never heard it broken down into the 3 Ds like that.
So think about this, right? And for all the viewers out there, this is something you want to know, that you can do this. You can do it. The path to financial independence starts with understanding a few basic concepts and then implementing them. Winning the financial war is the result of winning tiny battles day by day. How many of you would agree with that? That's important, right? So if you put together a simple plan and you follow it, you'll be amazed at the progress that you can make.
Oh, I definitely agree. I'm going to put this back up again. What we said earlier, that you can get out of debt, you can build savings, and you can get on the path to financial independence. I know I started the show off with that, but I just thought about that again then when you were just talking. So I like to just, bring that point back up again.
Yep. So for those of you listening, if you'd like to learn more about how I can help you on the path to financial independence, or about opportunities that are available to run your own business, reach out to me. I can be reached by going to my landing page, which is Ben Zabel. That's BenZabel.com. and just schedule a meeting via Zoom with me, and I'll be happy to help you. You can contact me through my cell phone on there. If you're in the New Jersey area, you can has a GPS. Google Maps will take you right to my office. My social media is on there, so reach out to me any way you feel comfortable, and look forward to meeting with you guys. And Qadriyyah, I want to thank you so much for giving me the opportunity to
thank you.
to
And
you.
all the information that you just mentioned, you can put on the comment, as well. For people, the website and things, and how your digital card, how people can just, click on the button and they'll have access to you pretty much.
Yeah, and just make sure when you go to benzabel.com, first thing that's going to pop up is it's going to ask for your name, your email address, and your phone number. That's just so we can stay in touch, and then it'll put all your contact information automatically on your phone just by hitting the next button after that. So do that. Contact me if I can help you in any way, and maybe on a future show, Qadriyyah, I can play some music for you guys.
Yeah, definitely, and I definitely would love that. As you mentioned, people don't realize how talented you are, and my significant other Tyrone, he may actually want to jam with you, in the future. Maybe you could do a virtual, concert together or something.
Yep.
Like violin and keyboard. But
Violin keyboard. Yep.
I just want to ask one last question that I ask every guest when that comes on. What is an on the cue tip that you have? It could be any type of tip that's on your mind that you would like to share with the viewers tonight before you leave, Ben.
What kind of a cue tip?
Yeah, it's on the cue tip.
Oh, okay.
any form of tip you like. It doesn't have to be financial. It could be any tip that you may give for the viewers tonight.
Well, that based on, so a really good tip I would give you is you can achieve your goals right now based on your current income. It's not that difficult to do. You just have to, make some adjustments to what you're doing. And it's just put that mindset in your mind, have that paradigm shift that this is something I can do. It's just like that person, who goes through, recovery. They didn't think they could get off of alcohol or drugs or whatever their problem was, but they worked at it and they got off of it. One of the things I recently did is, I think Qadriyyah knew this, but back in 2018, I'd gotten very sick and I almost died.
Yes.
And I just thought I had the flu. Turns out I had to have my gallbladder removed. Long story, because I was diabetic, and diabetes can mask a lot of things that you can be really sick and not realize how sick you really are. And they said if I waited 2 more days to come in the hospital, I would have been dead.
Wow, that's crazy.
And so that was my wake-up call. So I went to a couple classes that the diabetic nurse had at the hospital with other diabetics like me, and learned everything about what foods to eat, not to eat, and stay away from all the carbs and all the other stuff that wasn't good for me.
Right.
And got myself a nutritionist and started really working on myself. And my A1C right now is down to 5.4. If you know what that is, that's you're not diabetic anymore.
Wow.
Much.
Congratulations.
It was at 9.9 in 2018. Just to give you an idea. So, and my doctors, are looking at me like they're so proud, because most of their patients, they're getting worse instead of getting better.
Right.
And I just looked at that and I said, God's not ready to take me yet, and I got a lot of people to help, and a lot of things I want to accomplish in this life.
Yes.
So I plan on being around a long time.
Yes, and you will be.
Yep.
And you help many people.
So if you want to be
tonight, you've helped many people that I know, and you helped myself as well. So
yes.
people don't know I work with you as well as a financial advisor, and you definitely.
So if you want to be, if you want to reach those goals, whatever stage of your life you are, whatever your income is, just sit down with me and let me show you what I can do for you. Yes,
you guys heard it here tonight from the man himself. So again, we're gonna post the websites and things for people to reach out to, because I think this is the time where everything that you mentioned tonight is at the utmost importance. Everything that you mentioned. So I just want to appreciate you, Ben, again for coming on tonight and sharing this last on the Q-tip with us. So we're going to stay in touch, and this video will be posted, and I actually probably will keep resharing it because I love financial information. I think that's so important for us, young, no matter nationality, all that. It's important to everybody, the entire world. We all need to know something when it comes to financial literacy.
Absolutely.
So I want to thank you again. I want to thank everyone that came on tonight as well, that shared comments, the people who have been sharing the video. And I just want to say God bless to everyone. As I always say, keep sweating yourself to a healthier self. And you guys have a wonderful Wednesday.
Thank you. God bless you guys.
Take care, you guys.